Daniel Harford has joined us. He's Carlton's AFLW coach, and I barrack for Carlton in AFLW because I've got great respect for Carlton.
No, you barrack for Carlton.
And I love
Richmond
Daniel Harford. I love Daniel Harford, so I'm going to barrack for Carlton this year, and hopefully Daniel in his first season as senior coach is going to deliver big time. G'day, Daniel.
Kevin, Doc, it is an absolute pleasure.
It's lovely having you back on the SEN airwaves too, Harf, and I guess you would just about be as toey as your team.
I'm very excited, Turf. Yeah, I am. I'm really looking forward to it. It's nice to get to the stage where after so many months of planning and training, you actually get to get out there and get some reward for effort for the girls for all the effort they've put in and for me to see what we've got, I suppose. So, yeah, I'm very, very excited for Sunday.
You're up against, of course, one of the new teams, North Melbourne, Tasmania, North Melbourne, who I think are going to jump straight into the competition and be very, very competitive. They've got a pretty strong outfit.
Oh, yeah, they've recruited magnificently. They've got established players, and more importantly than that, they've got star established players. So they've got class on every line, some real good talent to it. So it's going to be a very, very difficult first offering for the Navy Blue girls to get out there and try and combat that. That being said, that's still got to come together and be a team. And I think one thing that we do have on our side is a lot of these girls have been together for a while, so we have that chemistry on our side, and hopefully we have the level of play to combat their class.
You've been a very, very successful coach. You've coached Bourne to premierships, St Kevin's to premierships, but this is a bit of a change for you coaching the women. What have you found different than coaching men?
Oh, I think a group of women's always different to a group of men, KB. The dynamic's very, very different. So just the dynamic of the group, the way they interact with each other and need feedback. They're very visual learners, these girls I've learnt. They haven't had people blowing wind up their backsides for 15 years telling them how good they are, so they're really open to feedback and to be taught, which I love from a coaching perspective. And like any player, they just need a bit of love every now and then. They need a clip every now and then and a bit of a love every now and then. So there's some similarities, but a lot of differences as well.
I noticed that Gil McLaughlin is saying he wants the game to be attractive, and of course last year there was a couple of very, very low scoring games, and that got everyone sort of offside. As coach of Carlton's AFLW side, are you going to be an attacking side, a side that wants to score a lot of goals, or are you going to be defensive? Because there was a criticism last year that some of the coaches were just too defensive.
Yeah, I've done a bit of research into this, KB, and I reckon you might be onto this as well in your time in footy. You need to kick goals to win.
I agree.
And we averaged 3 goals a game last year, the Blues, so that's not going to cut it. So we've tried to find a way to move the ball a bit more efficiently, to spread the ground a bit, and get ourselves in scoring positions more often. And even the only real sample size we've got to work with is a game against the Cats we had in the practice match a couple of weeks ago. And from averaging 3 goals a game, we managed to kick 7 goals with a couple of key players that didn't play, and so did the Cats. So all of a sudden we doubled that in one game and a little bit more. Hopefully that's the blueprint for what we'd like to do most weeks, because scoreboard pressure, as we all know in footy, is a very, very real thing, and I don't think the Blues were able to do that too often last year, and it put them in some dire straits at times.
But I guess where Kev was heading with that half is the fact that, the game is under great scrutiny, of course, and are you mindful of the look of the game?
Yeah, I think we're all mindful too. I think we all want anyone who's involved and invested in the competition and in women's footy in general, I think, and I know you are, want to see the game really flourish and really blossom, and you need to have people that aren't inside the little bubble of women's footy to want to be a part of it, and you do that by making it not a spectacle, but a brand that's entertaining. People want to watch entertaining things. They want to be entertained these days, and that's because there's so much out there in the marketplace. So, yeah, we're mindful of it. We can't let it influence win or loss scenarios at times. You want to score and you want to play good footy, but I think that's the mantra for any coach in any league around the country. Men's, women's, boys, girls, you want to play good footy because the players want to play good footy. So we're mindful of it. We understand the scrutiny the game's under, but at the same time, I think winning's pretty important too.
I think the women's game is crying out for stars. We need to have heroes. The kids need to have heroes, girls that they follow on the field every week. Who do you think yours will be? You look at cricket with Perry and Lanning and Healy, and they are now household names. It's going to be a great help to AFLW when some of the girls out there become household names as well?
Yeah, in fairness, Doc, I reckon there's a few that sort of are household names. Look, Darcy Vescio is a super talent, and we knew that from season 1. Things didn't go away in season 2, and she's had a fantastic summer. So she'll be a name that people will talk about. Bree Davey back for us is huge. She's a serious footballer, let alone an outstanding leader. Nick Stevens, Taylor Harris, they're all names that women's footy and footy fans would know. But then you get, I think the answer to your question is people will embrace the new generation of young players that are coming through that have been playing the game since they were 8 or 10 through Auskick and junior footy and have had uninterrupted pathway education, which has been much better resourced than in previous generations. And they come into the game as footballers. They're not athletes that weren't much good at anything else. So football was what they played. They play football because, as I believe, it's the best game in the world and it's their first choice footballers. So when we get more of those coming through, and Madison Prasparkas is our gun at that. Abby MacKaye will be a really good player for us. You look at Nina Morrison from Geelong, who's a ripper. She didn't come through the pathway as such, but she's a ripper. Sophie van der Heuvel, Geordie Allen from Collingwood. Like the list goes on of some of the really exciting young talent across the competition, and I think that's where the generations start to get traction and people start to really follow because they're natural footballers. They know the game, they understand the game, and they're super talent. So I think it's bubbling along, Turfy, at the moment, and it might take some time to get the general public and population on board, but if they let it breathe a bit and they watch these young stars come in and have the impact that I think they will, and I've no doubt they'll get excited about that and try and invest a bit of time.
Daniel Harford has joined us, coach of Carlton's AFLW. Shani Leighton, of course, has gone to Collingwood from netball. Have you got any of the girls, have come across from other sports, Crosscode players playing for you this year?
Yeah, we do, KB. I'm pretty excited about them too. We've got 2 rugby sevens girls that played in the Olympic campaign in Rio in 2016. Playing for us, Chloe Dalton and Brooke Walker. And I think they have tremendous skills that can translate for Australian rules football. And from what I've seen so far from those 2 girls in a very short period of time suggests that they will have a fair bit of influence in our team this year. So, yeah, we've got 2 cross-coders, rugby sevens girls, not the netball girls or the basketball girls, but rugby sevens. And they're very, very, very fine athletes, KB. I think you'll love to watch them in action.
You mentioned Abby MacKaye, of course, who made history being the first father-daughter girl drafted. I've seen Abby, of course, since about under 13s. How's Abs travelling?
Yeah, Abs she's a terrific kid, as you know, Doc, but she's a very, very capable footballer. And what I love about Abs with her footy is she's that real connector with the way she plays the game. She's a ground ball specialist. She gets to good spots, but she brings her teammates into play and just makes really good decisions with the ball. So she will have a terrific future in Navy. I'm very, very excited about what she's going to bring to us. Clearly, a lot of the young girls have had to work on their conditioning and ability to cope with the physical requirements at AFLW. Abs is no different to that, but in terms of her football prowess, that is unquestionable.
What about Daniel Harford? You sound reinvigorated almost, Harf. I mean, you got a young family.
It's got me excited.
You're
Doc.
A broadcaster at RSN. You're, of course, a restaurateur with Big Shorts Bar and Grill. Is that what it's called? And now you've taken this on. You're enjoying it.
Turfy, I love it. I've fallen in love with women's footy. I love the whole energy. I love the environment. I love the way that everyone in the industry wants it to be such a success, whilst being very, very aware of the limitations at this stage and the areas for improvement. I think it's fantastic. As I said before, as a coach, all you want is to work with a group of players or a group of people, or teach or manage, whatever you do, lead people. You want people to listen and be able to learn and adapt and acquire the skills that you think they need. And I've seen in my 2 years in footy, both at Collingwood and now Carlton, that the appetite to learn is outstanding, and the ability to pick things up that we try and teach is really good as well. And that will get better as the journey goes on. So I am reinvigorated in terms of my involvement in footy and my passion and love for it, Turf, and I love footy as much as the next bloke. But women's footy's added a whole new dimension to my interest in football and my outlook on it, and I love every single minute of it.
One big question mark, it has to be said, hanging over your team, clearly is your runner. Are you taking him to Tassie?
Well,
or are you going to get a local?
There's no show without punch. There's no show without punch. Andrew Marr could be the single greatest thing to happen to the Carlton Football Club in its history. And it's rich and storied history. In its history, Turf, it could be the greatest thing to happen. As you well know, you two gentlemen, and all your listeners will know, his love for the navy blue is unparalleled. He's at training just about every night unless he's doing some BBL activities.
Yeah, but is it right having a fan running for you?
Absolutely it is, because he cheers them on as he runs the message out. And sometimes you just need a little pump up when you're out there, Turf, under pressure.
Daniel Harford has joined us. Daniel, one of the criticisms of the AFLW game has been the kicking penetration in terms of, trying to move the ball from one end of the ground to the other. What sort of work have you done on that since you've been coach? And also, there's always this concern about the girls protecting themselves, particularly their head, and getting some nasty injuries and shoulders. And we know there's an ACL problem there as well. But what about, in terms of your pre-season in the girls learning how to protect themselves? How much?
It's a good question, KB. Yeah, no, we've done a lot on that, because I bring a rule with me that, like the boxing rule, which you would well know, rule number one is protect yourself at all times. And I think that's super important for a lot of these girls that haven't played a lot of footy, that the nuances and the ability to position your body to protect yourself hasn't been instilled in them. And that's something we've tried to ingrain in them with our specialist skills coach, Adam Dancy, who's done a great job coming across from Perth with the girls. So it's absolutely paramount. The AFLW coaches have spoken about this. It's a priority for us to try and make sure we teach these girls to protect themselves. So it is absolutely one of our mantras as coaches, let alone at the Carlton Football Club. In terms of the kicking penetration, the reality is, physically, men are different to women, and women can't kick as far. And you put that together with 16 on the field, but two less players, can't kick as far, can't perhaps run as fast on a full-size ground. There are going to be issues getting the ball from end to end. But what I like to think about that is we can change that dynamic through system of play. And I think what we've tried to do with the Blues this year is to put in a system that tries to find a bit more space, to try to find a bit more ball in the open so you can run and carry a bit more the ball going forward, and hopefully reduce the congestion and reduce the fact that you might have to kick 30 metres into a pack of players, try and get around that and keep the game flowing. That's how you beat it, I think, because the physical limitations won't change.
Daniel, you mentioned before that your runner, Andy Maher, is a bit of a fan. This is the man who's running for you throughout the season.
Gets it to Judd! The Blues have kicked another one!
That's the sort of man you got as your right-hand man.
Well, I had some concern, KB, that that's the least of my issues, that one, that he might start cheering and commentating as he's out there. My concern is he's going to get back from a message and just lean over the fence and just start yakking to someone about life and ask a 45-second question, and then all of a sudden I can't find him, KB, and I need a message to get out. That's my concern.
We wanted to say Daniel Harford has joined us, Carlton's AFLW coach, his first year. They do take on the new team, the Kangaroos, who are virtually favourites to actually win the competition this year. It's on Sunday in Hobart. It's a pretty exciting time to be a blue bagger, so just make sure that you're bound by blue in 2019. Sign up, become a Carlton member today. Head to the membership, carltonfc.com.au, or call the club now on 1300 Carlton. Now, there is a special AFLW membership that's on offer this season for those wanting to throw their support behind the girls. I think we'll win the premiership this year, Daniel. Don't let me down.
Well, I know KB's on board, Doc. Are you on board or not?
No, Melbourne's got their own team.
Well, I knew that, but I was just wondering if I could get you across. Kevin, you always do a prediction at the start of a season for your team for round one. Normally it's Richmond by about 123 points. What have you got the Blues out this week against the Kangaroos on Sunday?
I think the Blues will beat the Kangaroos by 24 points.
That'll do me.
Hey, good on you, Half.
Thanks, Daniel.
Best of luck this weekend and for the rest of the 2019 AFLW season.
Good on you, guys. Nice to chat as always.